So if you know how to do that and you understand the logic of how to talk to it, that's the power. And that's going to be the power for e-commerce people too, is
Welcome to the My Wife Quit Her Job podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to have Kevin King on the show. Now, Kevin is someone who I met a long, long time ago, but we didn't actually really have a conversation until we both got booted off the live stream to tens of thousands of viewers at the Alibaba Co-Create conference. Kevin is a veteran entrepreneur, mentor, and educator. And if you sell on Amazon, you've probably seen his face from his Freedom Ticket course, which I believe is still given out for free by Helium 10 if you have a subscription. He's the co host of two podcasts, the Marketing Misfits podcast and the AM/PM podcast, where he shares insider strategies. And he also runs a conference called the Billion Dollar Seller Summit. And finally, he runs this amazing Amazon newsletter, which I recommend that everyone subscribes to. Now, today, I invited Kevin on the show to talk e commerce and where he sees things going with Amazon and D2C. And with that, welcome to the show, Kevin. How you
hey,
doing?
I'm glad to be here, Steve. It's nice to see you again.
So I actually didn't really want to mention Alibaba. I was debating myself whether I should mention Alibaba because they're so sensitive about that sort of thing. But it really was the first time that we got a chance to connect, right?
Yeah, it was. And it was,
Yeah.
that was kind of weird. I was in the taxi on the way to that show in the morning, and I think we were on the stage that afternoon, and the organizer lady that's coordinating us calls and says, "Hey, Kevin, I want to switch this around. I had Tim kind of hosting your panel because there's the three of us, me, you, and Tim, and so I want you. I'm afraid he might say something, so I'm gonna have you host the panel if that's okay." And I'm like, "Well, I guess you don't know me because I might say something too, but okay." I didn't say that to her. That's what I'm thinking. So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we get up there, and beforehand they had come to us and they said, "Hey, you can't talk about solar panels. You can't talk about there's a few things you had to be careful about. It's because this was being live streamed back to I think it was millions of people in
Oh, was it
Alibaba.
millions? Okay, I didn't know
It
that.
was a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
And so we go up on stage and we're doing our bit and talking about the Alibaba and Amazon and sourcing and all kinds of stuff. And then about I think we had 25 or 30 minutes total, and there's a little countdown timer. And so as I'm asking you and Tim questions and going back and forth, I'm looking at the counter and I saw at one point it was like 16 minutes left. And then I asked a question of one of you 2, and then I looked over, and it was at 3 minutes. I was like, "Man," in my head, I was like, "Did I just black out?" I think I asked you guys that at the and when we got out, I was like, "Did y'all see that timer jump down, or what happened? Did I black out or something on stage?" And y'all are like, "No, we weren't paying attention." And then we get off, and then we go down, and we're like, "What?" Someone comes up to us and says, "Hey, we had to cut the feed, because y'all said something you're not supposed to say." We're like, "Well, what did we say?" And we couldn't figure it out, and we thought maybe it's because we said YouTube, and YouTube is banned in China. But it turns out that, about a week later, the lady calls me and said, "Don't worry about it. You guys were voted the most popular panel at the event, despite this, and it was because, you weren't talking enough about Alibaba. You were talking about some Amazon stuff and other things." And we're like, "Okay." Tim got invited back the next year, so they weren't too mad.
Oh, okay. Well, I did I get invited back? I don't remember. Probably not. Anyways, okay. So what did I want to talk to you about? So first of all, you got a lot of things on your plate. I've always been curious. Like, what are you actively working on right now? Are you still actually selling on Amazon products that you actually directly manage, in addition to everything else?
Yeah, I have a seasonal business on Amazon. I mean, when I first started selling on Amazon 10 years ago, I had 5 different product lines and multiple SKUs under each of those. 5 different brands, one in pets, one in fitness, one in beauty, one in, electronics, and one in, kitchen. And I launched all 5 of those and, ended up narrowing that down to a couple. But since, I don't know, 1995 or something,
I know that's
I've
nuts.
been
Yeah.
I've been producing, wall calendars, seasonal wall calendars, and we had a D2C list on that we did a lot of direct mail, and we still do direct mail. For those young ones listening, direct mail means you send something with a stamp through the mail, and it goes in a mailbox,
No one knows what that is, Kevin.
it's a
Sorry.
physical mailbox,
Yeah.
and, and then people send checks and money orders. Those are little pieces of paper, that say, "Pay to the order of." A money order you can get at 7-Eleven, you pay like 79 cents or something for the fee. It takes cash. Anyway, so I've been doing that for a long time. So I still do that with Amazon. And we wholesale into like calendars.com, which is the big
Mhm.
kiosks in the malls as you see pop up during the holidays, and a few other places. And that keeps my hand in the Amazon business. So we have 10 different SKUs that we do there. So that way I'm still selling. I'm
Yep.
still familiar because I think you can't teach if you're not doing it. I mean,
I
you get out of
absolutely
date,
agree.
you get out of dates really quickly. Things change rapidly, and they're changing even more rapidly now. So the long that was a long answer to say yes. I still sell, Steve.
And then I mentioned the 2 podcasts, and I know you're launching something else right now, right?
Yeah, I have the two podcasts, which you've been on the Marketing Misfits podcast. It was great to have you on there. That was an awesome episode that I do with Norm Farrar, and then I do one for Helium 10 called AMPM Podcast, which is that's pretty much all Amazon focused, and the Marketing Misfits is general marketing focused. And then I have the newsletter, like you mentioned, Billion Dollar Sellers, that comes out twice a week. I've been doing that. Been doing the Marketing Misfits podcast a year, the AMPM podcast about three. I took that over from the founder, and I've been doing the newsletter for two. And then
Nice.
yeah, I have something else called BDSC about to come out.
Yeah.
I'm not announcing
Oh,
just
you're not
quite
announcing.
yet.
Okay. We don't have
Yeah,
to talk about that. We can talk about
I'm
that
just
later.
I'm teasing it right now, getting people to try to figure out what does that C stand for? Because I have my events BDSS, Billion Dollar Seller Summit,
Right.
and then I have the newsletter BDSN, Billion Dollar Seller Newsletter. So now I have a C, and people are like, "What is this? Club, committee, conference, crypto?" I don't know. It's something. You'll have to, so I'm just hyping it.
All right, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. So, Amazon has directly and indirectly implemented a ton of fee hikes in just the past year and a half. And clearly, at least in my mind, the Amazon gold rush where anyone can do this successfully is over. So, my first question to you is what would you say are like the prereqs today to start selling on Amazon, and what should be people be mentally prepared for?
If you're new, I agree with you. The gold rush is over. You don't see all the guys with their Ferraris put nearly as much on social media trying to sell courses. Courses because of AI are becoming, a lot of people have been making money off selling courses, and a lot of that's going to go away because of AI. Um, to get into it today, it's a real business. 10 years ago, you could just pop on and find something on Alibaba, stick a brand name on it that you made up and put it on there and go sit at the beach and listen to your phone ding all day and make a lot of money and get lots of reviews. Those days are long gone. Now it's a real business. You got to know a lot of hats. You got to know logistics, sourcing, inventory management, um, finance, marketing, customer service. I mean, the whole range. It's become it's a real business now. And so it's the people that want to get into it and they say, how much do I need to get into
Yeah.
this? I used to have a rule that when I would tell people, well, you need 2.5 times your initial landing cost. So if your life savings was $10,000, let's say, and that's what you had to invest in this, you needed to find a product that you could get landed for 4 grand maximum, and you not run out of stock. So there's a lot of variation math formulas you got to do, and I show that kind of stuff in the Freedom Ticket. That way, you have money to actually buy the next round before you got paid for the first round. You'll be able to continue. But I think that number depends on your goals. If you're in Pakistan and you're making $600 a month is the a decent wage or the average wage, or some of the Latin American countries, if you could make 1,000 or 1,500 on Amazon, you could change your life in theory. But for me and you, that's a side hustle that's not even going to pay, for much at all. So it depends on your goal. So if you're from one of those countries and you just want to check, you could do that for less money. But if you're like from the West, you're going to have to put some serious money in and be prepared to put more money in because it's a very cash intensive game. And what a lot of people sell is they sell this dream, and they sell that, yeah, buy it for 20 bucks, buy it for $2, sell it for 20, you got $18 profit. And they leave out all the stuff in between.
Yep.
And the margins are getting compressed, like you said, with the Amazon fees continuing to rise. And it's squeezing the people who are not good operators and good at math, and it's squeezing a lot of people. And A lot of people are, we had the gold rush of the aggregators.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys that were around in 2014, 2015 that started selling Amazon, they cashed out for good multiples at the peak. And most of those guys, some of them retired, some of them tried to do it again. And most of them are failing because they don't have the skill set. They were right place, right time, and the aggregator thing bombed as well. And so now it's more about, for me, Amazon should be not. It's a great place to launch and to prove something because the eyeballs are there, but it should not be your only focus. It should be maybe your first focus if that's the direction you want to go. But then you need to be a true brand, trying to develop a true brand and not just looking for product opportunities. That was the old model: is find a gap in the market, sell spatulas and sell radios and sell car chains and whatever else there's an opportunity. I think that's much more difficult now, and you need to actually be building a true brand. And in your master plan, you need to get off Amazon. Amazon just needs to be the shopping cart of choice for some people, but you need to be DTC. You need to be Shopify, but that complicates it.
Yeah.
TikTok Shop and Walmart and whatever, but that complicates it more because that's a whole different skill set. There's some overlap, but that's what bogs a lot of people down.
Hey, just a quick heads up. Tickets for my annual e-commerce conference, the Seller Summit, are now on sale over at sellersummit.com. If you run an e-commerce business selling physical products, this event was built for you. Unlike typical events filled with broad advice and feel-good stories, the Seller Summit is all about real strategies you can actually use. Every speaker I invite is deep in the trenches, running their own store and dealing with the same challenges you face every single day. Now, we keep the event intentionally small, just 200 people, so it stays intimate, and you actually get time to connect, ask questions, and have meaningful conversations. I've sold out every single year for the past 9 years. And if your store is already doing over 250K or $1 million in revenue, we also run a private mastermind with other top sellers in the space. You can learn more and grab your ticket over at sellersummit.com. Now back to the show. So I know you run an agency or you've helped a ton of sellers in the past. And I know for myself, people ask me, "Hey, I'm doing okay on Amazon, but I want to get off." Like, what do you tell these people on how to proceed with a D2C shop, like a Shopify store? Because sometimes products don't even match, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an agency, but when people want to do that, I usually tell them if they started on Amazon, you before you go to DTC, you might want to go set up a Shopify store just to have some credibility. But really, you should actually maximize Amazon first if that's where you started. So go to
Yep.
expand to Canada, and then consider expanding to maybe Europe. But that's a whole nother animal. I mean, you understand the systems, but you got to have a whole other set of inventory and a whole other set of logistics that go with that, and a few other things. If you're going to go D2C, the difference between the two that most people don't understand is on Amazon, the traffic is there. You're just maximizing the traffic. You're just like, how do I? You got it's like a freeway of people driving by at 60 miles an hour with the window rolled down, their credit card out, and all you got to do is stand in the right spot and swipe as they go by. And if you know how to do that, you can win on Amazon. On DTC, it's a whole different thing. You got to drive the traffic. Either you got to have a list, or you got to know how to run meta ads, or TikTok Shop, or email cold emails, or whatever the flavor of choice is, and drive that traffic there. There's advantages to both ways. I mean, D2C, you control the whole customer experience. With Shopify, you have all the plugins where you can modify it, and you can do a lot of cool stuff that you just can't do. And you can do upsells, and you can do, retarget abandoned carts and all kinds of stuff, and control the look and feel a lot more, and get the customer data. But you can't do most of that on Amazon. So they're two different animals, and I think a lot of people don't understand that when they go, "Oh, I tried Shopify, it didn't work." It's like, "Well, what did you do?" "Well, I put up a site and sell much." "Well, what'd you do to drive traffic?" "Oh, no, I sent a couple emails." Uh, that's they're two different things.
Yeah.
I think, if you have the money and the capacity, if you know how to drive traffic, or someone's on your team to drive traffic, I think what I would do right now if I was just brand new and starting is I would start D2C, if you know how to drive the traffic. Because and then have a pop-up or something, and let Amazon be the overfill. Drive that traffic and that awareness yourself, either on TikTok Shop with UGC creators, or by whatever means you want by other kinds of ads, and then let them come to Shopify, let them experience it in the way that you want them to experience, and you control the messaging, control the whole experience there. And if they don't trust you, that's okay. You have a pop-up, or you even have an option, buy this on, buy with Prime or buy this on, Amazon. Let 'em go where they trust it and go over there. And that's, I think, how I would approach it, and I would approach it as like, let's build a brand, not just a little store or a little, thing. And like what you do with the linens and stuff is I would be looking, if at all possible, trying to get into recurring sales of something where there's the chance of a repeat order. It's not just a one time, I'm gonna buy a ladder, for the house, and I only need 1 ladder every 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, I know you talk with a lot. I mean, you interview a heck of a lot of people every week, and then you have the Billion Dollar Seller Summit. What are some of the more popular strategies that either you're implementing or that you're seeing other people implement right now in the
Well,
space?
probably the most popular silver shiny object right now is TikTok Shop for a lot of people.
Okay.
And TikTok Shop can be really good, but it's not as easy as what a lot of people think. And everybody thinks that they want to hire an agency or hire a UGC person, and they're going to go viral. And there's a lot more, a lot more to it. But what I'm seeing right now in the whole e-commerce space in general is a mix where the savvy people are on top of 3 things. They're on top of marketplaces, and that could be Shopify has a marketplace where they tie stuff together. I mean, so it could be marketplaces, it's social commerce, and AI. Those 3, if you can get your head around those 3 and how to intermingle those 3 modalities together, I think you have a really good chance at winning going forward, and I think that's where people should be looking at. Um, right now, and if they're gonna sell e-commerce.
Let's peel back the onion here real quick on TikTok Shop. Like, can you just give an example of what someone's doing? What type of products work well that you've heard or have experience with?
TikTok Shop, I mean, yeah, the electronic products can work well, little gadgets and stuff can work well, and beauty products work exceptionally well. Some supplement stuff, works really well. I know a woman, we've had her on the podcast, she's doing $21 million a year selling pants for women on TikTok Shop. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
and I know someone else that's, doing artwork stuff and doing like 6 million on TikTok Shop, and then they get the halo effect of some of that spills over to Amazon because not everybody buys on TikTok Shop. But the thing about TikTok Shop is I've bought stuff on TikTok Shop, and it's brilliantly integrated. So you're just sitting there and watching. They know who to target. They know based on your history, based on other people, and they will just pop something in, and you can scroll right on by it. But if you look at it, it's really easy to add to cart, buy it in a matter of 5 or 10 seconds, and then continue scrolling. And there's no interruption almost really in it. And so it's impulse buys things. So you're not going to sell a $10,000 thing on there. It's going to be very difficult. But for top of funnel and for impulse buy, sub $100 items, those can do very, very well on there. Pet items can do very well as well. So there's a handful of categories, but um, those will be the ones that I'm probably seeing people doing the best with.
What I like about TikTok Shop is I actually just recently started actually being a customer on there. The video continues to play actually while
Yeah.
you're all checking out. So it literally is really seamless. And that's why I think it's just doing really well.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you put in perspective, though, what I always like to tell people is people always like get their eyes real big when they hear TikTok Shop. I'm gonna go crush it there. It's great. Don't get me wrong, but it's I think their total GMV last year. It depends on who. There's different reports that come out, but somewhere between 50 and 20 billion. It was their GMV, which is that's not chump change, but that's a weekend for Amazon.
Yeah.
It's during one of their sales, Amazon was 700 billion when you add the 1P and 3B together, 1P and 3P, not B, together. So that it's still extremely small, but and I know they've been having some troubles. They gave away the farm, free shipping, and all kinds of promo discounts and everything for a while just to get people in. And now they're tightening that up. And they just did a big layoff recently. They've just replaced a lot of executives from the US with Chinese based executives because, like, you guys are, we got to actually make money now. We can't keep bleeding money.
Yeah.
So there's some changes going on. And who knows what's going to happen with Trump keeps extending the ban, and who knows what's gonna happen there. That may just be status quo, or there may be an algorithm shift, if someone buys it, and that could affect things too. But social commerce is not going away.
You know, it's funny. I actually just got on a meeting with Timu recently, and because they're struggling because of the Trump changes, and they're trying to recruit sellers in the United States. Uh, First of all, do you know anyone who's selling on Timu successfully? Just curious.
One person I knew that they were selling sinks, like construction stuff. Like,
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
like big heavy duty sinks and stuff, but no, that's the only one, and they were doing a lot of drop shipping and this was about a year ago. But other than that, no, it's not a Chinese-based seller. I've heard of nobody doing from the US, from the West, doing well on Temu. Not to say that someone's not, but Temu is having yeah, they've lost, they're like the number 1 or number 2 app for a long time. They're way down now. They've lost, what did I just see recently, like 60, 70% of their sales because of
They lost 50% of their traffic.
the de minimis,
Yeah.
rule. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right after that. Yeah. So I
And
was just curious.
Shein's having similar problems too, but for the same some of the same reasons, plus some other reasons.
Yeah. So Timu is trying to attract sellers by saying that there's no fees. But once you get into like the nitty gritty, you don't even get to set your own price. They set the price.
Yeah, no, when
Yeah.
they I had a meeting with them in Seattle during, they did a little restaurant party pop-up right next to the convention center when Amazon was doing their big event last year in Seattle called Accelerate. I went over and talked to him. The guy was exactly that. He's like, "Hey, look, we get all these sellers. They'll come over," and this business development guy, he's like, "We have no fees." I'm like, "Well, explain this to me." And it's exactly what you said. Yeah, well, we set the price. We tell you we're going to pay you this, and then we decide what we're going to sell it for. I was like, nobody's going to come from Amazon because they'll lose their buy box.
Yes.
As soon as you do that, they're going to lose their buy box. He's like, no, no, we have this and that, and dude, you're going to have it's not going to work. It's simply not going to work. You'll get a few naive people, but that's about it, or desperate people. And I think they're having trouble with that.
Unless Amazon gets busted for all this. I mean, that's like anti-competitive activity if I've ever it's like blatant, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So,
Amazon does things until they're forced to change. I mean,
yeah.
back 7, 8 years ago, there was a big industry of buying stolen data from China, from people inside Amazon at China, so we could get reports on what's working on PPC for your competitors or what's their back end keywords and all this. And people were paying good money for this black market stuff. And then Amazon got threatened, and they're like, "Ah, we better start actually giving people a little bit more data, so it doesn't look like we're just using this all for ourselves." So they have the SQP now, Search Query Performance Report, and they have a Opportunity Explorer, and they have a lot more tools and a lot more. They're much more loose with the data, but they won't make that change until it looks like they're going to get in trouble. And the same thing happened with taxes. If you remember, they weren't collecting
Oh
sales
yeah.
tax,
Yep.
and then they went after states were starting to go after sellers, and then that got changed. So this thing with the pricing, I think it'll eventually there's gonna be it'll come down where that changes. But I know, like, right now and what they do is buy with Prime. A lot of people don't know this. If you have the buy with Prime on your site, um, you won't get penalized. So if you on your Shopify site, if you have, buy with Prime as an option, and Amazon comes and pings scrapes your Amazon or your Shopify site and sees that you're selling it for $5 less than you're on Amazon, they're not supposed to actually penalize you on Amazon.
Hmm.
That's straight from, someone at the Buy with Prime team. That's not something I read somewhere or in some forum. That's straight from one of the top people on the team that she told me that. It was in my newsletter a while back, but that's the only workaround I know on that right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Buy with Prime, you're giving them all your information anyway, so I guess throw you a bone, not penalize
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about AI because I mean that's the hottest topic, at least that I've been spending most of my energy on. What are some pretty cool ways that people are using AI for e-commerce that you know of?
Well, a lot of people here's my take on AI and e-commerce is you got a lot of people that have played with, ChatGPT or played with some AI stuff, but I think most sellers are just touching the surface.
Yep.
They're barely doing anything. They're having it rewrite an email or a marketing email, or they're having it. maybe analyze one of their PPC reports or something fairly basic, or help them write to try to get a bad review taken off. That's like fundamental kindergarten stuff for what AI can actually do. And most people don't understand where this is, how fast this is moving, and where it's going. And I think a lot of e-commerce sellers are going to be caught with their pants down. And I believe that there's sellers on Amazon now doing 5 million a year that 2 years from now are going to be doing 500,000 a year and going, what the heck happened? Because people that are using AI are going to have such massive uh, AI correctly, they're going to have such massive competitive advantages. And if someone in their category starts doing that, they're going to crush them.
Yep.
And so AI and agentic AI is, I think, where it's at right now. And a lot of people are like, well, what's agentic AI? Agentic AI is where you can have automate things. An advanced form of automation uh, where you have specialized. So like, here's an example. So if I want to hire a PPC agency, I can go out and hire one of the top agencies in the Amazon space. There's about 800 of them that do PPC. Literally about 800. I have a list of them all. And people always say, "What's the best PPC agency to use, Kevin?" I was like, "I don't know. It depends on the person you get." So, this person at Clear Ads, if you get the right person, you're going to rock and roll. But if you get employee number 27, they're still learning and they may mess up some stuff. So if someone goes in, they get employee number 27, and they're like, Clear Ads just doesn't work. This other guy offered it cheaper over here. I'm just going to bounce over here. And what happens is people end up bouncing from agency to agency to agency. What if you could take that number one guy at Clear Ads that's crushing it for his handful of clients and basically duplicate him in an agent? Everything he knows, dump it into an agent, its own little LLM, and have him then manage an account. But he's getting data from other agents. So you have a series of agents. You have a PPC agent that's basically a mirror of this stud PPC guy. You have another agent that's a mirror of a sourcing person. Another agent that's a mirror of a image creation listing creator. Another one that's a good keyword researcher. Another one's a good trend. And each one of those, they specialize, and they're the best of the best, and they've been trained and coached up by real people to actually know what they're doing. And then they take the AI and the vast knowledge out there, and then these things all talk to each other in a way. Right now, really they can't really think on their own, completely think on their own, but it's going to get to the point where they can. So there still needs to be a human in this loop. But you could take what maybe took 20 or 30 people or a month to do and now do it in hours with one human and a bunch of agents. And by layering these agents together and having them talk to each other, they can execute 24/7, 365 days a year that no human's ever going to be able to do, and can do complicated math and a lot of stuff that where if you overlay different components together, you overlay the PPC and you overlay the some of these big data. If you look at a company like Pattern, that has massive amounts of data points and lay all these data points, you can really hone in on what you got to do to a minute level to actually get that little extra CTR or to see what's trending. And I think it's going to get to the point where if you see there's good agents that are monitoring TikTok and they see that I don't know, baby. At the time of this recording, just a couple weeks ago, these little baby photos, baby videos were very popular. People are taking like me and you,
Yeah.
putting baby faces on and doing little things, and they could see something like that as hot. The agent, there's a video creation agent uses maybe VO3 or one of these other tools. It could come in and actually do that on the fly for me and you, and actually have something out in hours to take advantage of that trend and ride that wave. Um, that kind of stuff is going to happen. You're going to have stuff where they see someone's, oh yeah, they're all talking about some new cooking thing. It's going to see that, and it's going to be able to talk to the sourcing agent through MCP, which is a way that agents can talk to each other. There's a couple of different modalities in this, but it's a kind of a common language. It's a kind of like a translator where they can talk to each other. So you're going to have a sourcing agent. It's going to talk to Alibaba, source and say, hey, we need to make a spatula or whatever, and which factories can do this with this kind of handle and this kind of thing because this is what people are complaining about, all behind the scenes without a human. And you're gonna have factories. It's gonna come back and say, hey, well, these three can do it. Oh, here's a rendering of it. AI is making a rendering, and then the human looks at it and goes, oh, yep, I like that. I like that. Nope, let's change this a little bit. Makes a couple prompt tweaks, and then you have it being manufactured almost instantly. And then you can do 3D printing. So where it's like, well, let's test this spatula. Um, Okay, here's the CAD stuff. Here's all the STP files. Here's everything. Let's make 100 of them and test the market. And we'll have this out in a week. Or you order it and just give us, you put a 7 to 10 day delivery on there. And then like, holy cow, people love it. Now let's go to mass market on it, mass production on it. So I think you're going to start seeing more and more of those kinds of things happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're not quite there yet. I'm just curious, how are you using AI or some of the people that you know directly using AI at the current state it is right now?
When you're starting to see like companies like Triple Whale use this agent stuff. So what I just talked about is not science fiction 5 years from now. It's happening now on a basic level
Mhm.
by the most advanced people. Like Triple Whale is a perfect example with their Moby agents. They're doing this right now to not quite the example I gave, but 70% of that. But the average seller is using it to help them create video content or ad content, to help them come with avatars, to help them come up with angles, uh, positioning angles, and test different positioning angles.
Mhm.
That those are the most common that I'm seeing now, and then writing emails and customer service and trying to get rid of reviews. A lot of people have little chat bots where you can do that. Um, in the education space, see this is something that I'm doing at BDSC. Will have a hint of this, but where I see in education is, if I go and I take if you take the Freedom Ticket course from me, that's one course that was made for a mass audience, and maybe it's not particular for you, but I think it's going to get an education where I can take my content and maybe and mix that with, it could be with you, it could be with somebody else, or it could just be mine. And someone comes in and says, "Oh, I want to sell this. I have this much money." Answers four, five, six questions, and then the course is automatically recreated on the fly based on my knowledge base, specifically for that person. And people don't want to do a 10 module course; they want quick wins. They want something fast. So it's like, here, the next 3 hours, we'll teach you everything you know to do specifically what you want based on that knowledge base. I think you're going to start seeing that type of stuff happening. And I know a few people that are messing with that now. I mean, Jason Flatland, a lot of you may know, is the goat of webinars, like the best webinar guy in the world. He just finished a tool that writes webinars in his style, which is a really good
Interesting.
style.
Okay.
And he says it's actually writing better. He's not putting it out just yet. He's doing some beta testing. But the beta testers, I know, I'm a mastermind that he runs. They're like, "Holy cow." And even Jason himself says, "This is doing a better job than me writing," and he's the GOAT. So there's uses like that. There's a tool that I use called Copy Coders. It's from Genesis. It's a $10,000 tool. I think he sells it sometimes for five. But this tool has got, what he's done is he's created his own basically LLM, and he's gone and he's taken all the greatest marketing minds and copywriters of all time, Ogilvy and all the guys back, 100 years, and dumped it into this database and then taught it. And so that I can go in there, and he's got something called a prompt called click drivers. So I can go in there and I can just give it a link. I can give it a link to your website, and it'll go suck in all your website, or I can give it a email that I've already written, or I can give it just an outline of, here's kind of what I want to do. Hit a button, and it instantly will write what's called a click driver's email with all the hooks, all the everything in it. It'll give you 20 different versions in about 5 seconds of the email, depending on which angles and which positioning statements you want to do, and then you can mix and match them. The thing, I started using it for some of my advertisers on Billion Dollar Seller Summit, Billion Dollar Sellers newsletter, and on my emails that I send out. It's doubled and tripled my conversion rates
Interesting.
because it's so freaking powerful. So, and some people are, yeah, Kevin, I don't need some tool. I just use ChatGPT. It helps me do that. Yeah, ChatGPT can definitely help you if you know how to prompt it. But this guy's prompt is 19,000 words, 19,000 words
Mm,
of prompt, and it goes into Poe to do it. That's powerful. And so I think that's the thing, is most people, it's garbage in, garbage out. If you know how to prompt and you know how to write it, that's you can get amazing stuff. But I think you're going to see more isolated cases where you can take your content, all your podcasts that you've done, all your trainings, and everything that you've done, all your seller summits, and put that into a custom LLM that people can query. That's isolated. It's just you. It's not polluted. by stuff that's on the internet that may or may not be true. Because there's people that is espousing ways to do things, different teach course guides and YouTube videos and whatever that's actually doesn't work or it's outdated or whatever. And you can control that whole ecosystem. And so I think you're gonna see a lot of that, and that's happening right now. I have something coming out in 2 weeks that does that on my content.
I tried to do that a year ago. I don't think it was ready to go back then because it still kept kind of hallucinating stuff and extrapolating stuff that I didn't say. Maybe it's a lot better now. Maybe I should revisit that.
Yeah, I would take a look at that. I have something launching in 2 weeks that has I have two versions. One's a free version that it's scaled back a little bit, and the other one's a complete custom LLM with all my content. Every podcast I've been on, every one I've ever hosted, all my newsletters, all my BDSS content, Freedom Ticket, um, uh, forgetting whatever webinar I've done,
Yeah,
and you can go in there and you can. It's not a search engine where you just type in like, tell me where Steve talked about PPC. Oh, it's this episode. Go listen to it. It's not a directory like that. It's like, what does Steve Chu think about blah blah blah? And if you're in there, it's going to pull it from that. Or what are
right.
the top three people think about this, and who are they? And it'll pull it all from there, and it's you're talking to it conversationally.
Nice. That copy coders tool, is it like a one-time fee or?
I think it's an annual. I signed up for it in January, so I'm not 100% sure on
Okay,
that. But it's worth every freaking penny
interesting.
of
So the
it.
back end is probably one of the popular LLMs, right? He's just composed a really
Yeah, he's using
good prompt.
Claude. He
Yeah.
uses
Okay.
Claude on the backside, but he's got all these custom prompts. I mean, another example is a VSL. I have a buddy that's launching some stuff, and he hired this company. It's like 40 grand for this company to help him set everything up. And they have a VSL, and they gave him the VSL to use to do some recruiting and stuff for people for the site. And he's like, "This is not bad." So he threw it into ChatGPT, gave it some prompts. He made it a little bit better because he kind of knows the audience a little bit better than the company agency does. And so he said, "Kevin, can you throw this through copy coders?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I threw it through copy coders, and we did a series of variations on it. And then he sent that to them, said, "Here, use this one instead of what you guys wrote." And the people, the Filipino VAs are like, "Oh, you sure you want to do that? We have." I said, like, my buddy Mark's like, "Yeah, nope, do it." And so they're like, "Okay." And then about 2 hours later, the owner of the company texts him and said, "Where the heck did you get this?" He's like, "Oh, I told you, I know what I'm doing. I've got some access to some special stuff." He's like, "This is brilliant. Do you mind if we use this as a template ourselves?" And so that's the power. If you got to know where to go and know how to look. And that's the dabblers don't know that. With Lovable right now, you can do some amazing stuff with N8N and Make. You can do some really cool stuff. Um, but a lot of people they're just playing, and they're not actually using it as a tool. And the people that in e-commerce that understand how to use it as a tool to save money, to save time, and it's not necessarily to like get rid of a bunch of people. I mean, that's going to happen by default. There are going to be people losing their jobs, but those people hopefully can be retrained, or they'll just have to adapt into something else. But it should make the people that are on this. It should make you more productive.
Do you think there's the future is a market of people who just create these prompts really well? Like, where do you see the market going?
I think we just had Jordan Hall on the Marketing Misfits podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's big time affiliate marketer, big in the space, done very well. And I asked him what's going on here with AI, and what's your take? And he said he thinks there's a 2 to 3 year window right here to make a lot of freaking money, as in e-commerce or in education or in anybody that's on the cutting edge of AI. But that the rate AI is changing, some of that advantage is going to go away because it's going to be easier and easier for the average Joe to just hit a button and it does everything. But right
Yeah.
now, it's still mind blowing to the average person. When you talk about this copy coders and they see it like, holy cow, it's mind blowing, and they don't have access to it, but they will down the road at a much cheaper price. So and then he said, I said, well, what's going to happen to all these people? There's all this talk about people losing their jobs and all this, and he's like, I think, in the future, there's gonna probably be a universal, income, because it's just with robots and everything going on, it's gonna be difficult for a lot of people to make a decent living. quality of life might go up for people, but he said the ones that are going to make the money, and I had just been thinking of this the day before he said it, are entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs are sitting in the driver's seat of this. If you have an entrepreneur mindset or entrepreneur abilities, you can see these potentials and you can see this and you're willing to take these risks and you're willing to go out there. And he said, and I believe this too, that the entrepreneur mindset type of person is going to thrive in this new AI economy and it's gonna put a distance between the worker bees and the entrepreneur types, more of a distance. And so that's why I tell everybody just start dabbling in AI just so you can understand the basics. I mean, I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, I can't do this, but I understand the logic of it. So, because when I was, back in the '80s, when it was, this was the early '80s when personal computers were just coming out. My parents spent like $4,000 to buy the Xerox computer, the Xerox, the copy company computer. And it was like 4,000 bucks and it was little floppy drives, it wouldn't do anything, a little basic screen. But one summer I taught myself how to do the basic computing language.
Yep.
And because of that, then I did some Pascal and a few things in college. But because of that, I understand the logic and the way of thinking. And that's the problem that a lot of people have in the prompting is they don't understand how to tell it what they want. And that's why photographers and creative people right now are like, they're not as worried. People are like, oh, you're a photographer. Aren't you going to be worried about your jobs? Like, no, this is the most powerful tool ever. Now I can tell it, I want this f-stop and this lighting and this lens and this, and it creates it beautifully right there. And if I don't like it, hit a couple buttons, it does again. I don't have to go spend $100,000 on a photo shoot and props and sets and deal with humans and all this. They're the people that are going to win. So if you know how to do that and you understand the logic of how to talk to it, that's the power. And that's going to be the power for e-commerce people too, is for whatever your goals are in e-commerce, knowing how to combine these things and how to talk to it to get the results that you want.
I was just having a conversation with a buddy the other day about the Shopify App Store. Like I was going to give it 2 or 3 years until all those apps, which a lot of them don't do much, people can just hit a couple buttons and generate something that's very custom to their shop going
Yeah.
forward. Yeah.
No, I think you'll be able to do that. I mean, there's some tools. What I just see that actually does that right now. Was it? Ah, there's somebody already kind of doing something similar to that, where you just type in and it basically creates. I mean, the basic apps you can do right now with Lovable and some of these other vibe coding things. When it starts, you got to tie it into databases like Supabase, or you got to start tying N8 in. It starts getting a little bit more complicated. But I just talked to someone yesterday that's using Lovable, and Lovable, for those that don't know, is a vibe coding. It's a where you just go in and instead of having to type in all the coding, the programming side of things, you just tell it what you want. I want to create an app that looks like uh, Airbnb and does this and this and does these things, but I want to change this. And in seconds or under a minute, it creates the entire thing, and then gives you the code to take it to ChatGPT to create like uh, uh, graphics for the interface and all kinds of stuff. But she's like, I come from the background of coding, so I understand how to talk to it. So she's conversationally telling me what to do, but she understands what to say. And when does it does one thing, it's like, no, it looks like you're missing the whatever the comments here. Oh yeah, you're so right. Let me add those for you real quick. So that's the advantage, and that's e-commerce sellers. We know what works and what doesn't if you've been doing this for a while. So use that knowledge of conversion rates and psychology and marketing and upsells and everything to actually get even massively better results. And the other thing I think on e-commerce is I think you're going to start seeing a lot of people not going to Shopify first or not going to
Yep.
Amazon first. It's going to be going to the AI engines, Chat GPTs and Geminis and whatever emerges as the dominant. If there's another Google that comes out of this, right now it's Chat GPT is the dominant one, but they're going to be start searching in there. And if you look at what Andrew Jassy said,
Hmm.
just recently released a document to internal and basically say, hey, generative AI is coming. We're going to embrace it. It's going to change everything. And so search is going to change, and the way people discover products is going to change. And you just think about someone like Google or ChatGPT, even and Amazon. They have massive data on you, and they have They can customize specifically to what you want. I mean, TikTok is the early preview of this. Well, TikTok knows how to target you with what are you most likely to buy on TikTok Shop. I mean, you've seen probably a lot of stuff that's come through TikTok Shop on your scroll. You said you bought a few that you're like, "That looks cool." No, I'm gonna have restraint. I'm not gonna buy that, but that looks cool. No, I already got enough stuff. The wife will get mad at me if I put this on the credit card. And you're also frugal, so you'll be, um, maybe, but you probably see a lot of stuff like, "Man, that's kinda cool," or "That's kinda cool," because they know how to target you. That's gonna put on steroids when you put a whole bunch of big data that Amazon's been collecting on you for 20 something years and knows everything. Have you ever requested your, what Amazon knows from you?
No, I
Knows
haven't.
about you?
No. Did you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I did that, like a year and a half ago. It's like 780 pages PDF.
Oh, okay.
It's every video I've ever watched on Prime, where I paused it, how much of it I watched. It was everything I've ever put in my cart, everything I ever bought, took out, everything I ever looked at, everything I ever listened to, how many times did I listen to Taylor Swift, song or whatever. Everything is in there, and it's eye-opening what they got, and that data is worth a lot, and they can use that now with AI to really highly customize the experience, for people looking to buy in e-commerce.
Yeah. That is nuts, man. Uh, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this because people like I think most of my colleagues have just been seeing traffic steadily decline over the years, and it's because people aren't doing research on Google anymore. They're getting all their information from chat or any LLM, and then when they're ready to buy, they'll just Google the brand name and then go to your site and buy it there, or they go straight to Amazon.
Mhm.
So you're right. I
Or
think
they still go to the store. I mean, retail is not dead.
that's
So
correct. They go to the store, but, they're not doing the research on websites anymore,
right,
right? They're
right.
doing all the research, and you might get, like, a branded search and then a click to your site for the
I
purpose.
remember, I was at Pattern, if you don't know, Pattern's based in Salt Lake City. They're the number 1 seller on Amazon, 1.8 billion with a B dollars per year. 16 data scientists working for them. Amazon comes to them sometimes when they get questions on logistics and stuff. And I remember the CEO was on stage talking about the power of AI right now. And he's like, "Look, in my family, I've got 6 kids. Every time they turn 16, we offer to buy them a car, their first car. And we tell them like, hey, you might like a Toyota Corolla, or you might like this, and we recommend a few cars that they might like. And in the past, they've always picked one of those, and that's what we got for them. They said, but our youngest that just turned 16, when we told her what we recommend for her, she's like, "Well, hold on, let me go ask ChatGPT." So she goes to ChatGPT and types in, "I'm a 16-year-old girl. I like this and like this. I like doing this with my friends," and blah 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 blah. And it came back and said, "Well, you should actually look at the Jeep, whatever Cherokee, or whatever it was. This would be the perfect car." So she goes back to dad and says, "I want a Jeep Cherokee, not what you recommend." She trusted that, and that gave her the answer of what she wanted. That's You're going to see more and more of that, and that just illustrates your point of what you just said. Is it's already happening.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, I did wanna get a chance to talk about, some of the things that you're working on. Billion Dollar Seller Summit, that's twice a year. Do you wanna tell the audience what that's all about?
Sure, appreciate that. Yeah, so it's one time it's virtual, so I do once a year virtually. Next one's coming up in August 19th to 21st. And it's not just, you see a lot of virtual summits and a lot of Zoom calls and stuff. It's not a Zoom. We use a platform that actually has like 3D renderings of the exhibit hall. It's like it has breakout rooms. It feels as close to being at a real conference as you can with, just being at your desk. So it's very interactive. It's all done live, no pre-recorded stuff. So that one's coming up. And then I have the next in-person event is going to be in Nashville in April of next year. And
Nice.
I'm changing the model on that. It used to be exclusively a high ticket event. So it's about $6,000 to come. And then plus your hotel and airfare. So you're making a pretty considerable investment to actually come. Last one was in Iceland, before that Hawaii and Puerto Rico. But I'm changing the model in Nashville where there's going to be a high end element of it, but it's going to be 3 grand instead of 6 grand. And then there's going to be tickets as low as 497. And I'm hoping that you'll be out there, because at the event I have a podcast row. So I have, if you go to the Super Bowl and you always see at the Super Bowl, there's always this media row. Like all the ESPNs and Foxes and all these guys go and they interview all the celebrities and everything. So I've got 20 booths set aside for podcasters. It's totally free as a podcaster host, where you can have my wife quit her job booth, and you can man it as often or as little as you want, and you can interview people while you're there at the show and create a lot of content. So I'm doing cool stuff like that, and we make it my events are an experience. They're not it's not the same as let's just go in a conference hall and listen to some talks and maybe have appetizers at a mixer. We do full on experiences. Like in Iceland, we went snowmobiling on glaciers, and we went do crazy stuff. In Hawaii, we did an amazing race type of event with everybody competed for a whole day racing around the island in 28 different rental cars, wearing like jerseys that sponsored jerseys that look like F1 Hawaiian style shirts. And so we do a lot of cool stuff like that to make it a total experience and not just an event. So those $1 billion seller summit.com is if you want to find out more about those.
Nice, man. And then, I know I really like your newsletter also,
I appreciate
which
it.
anyone listening to it, you should go sign up. It's over at $1 billion sellersummit.com also, right?
You can get there or just go direct at $1 billion sellers.com.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, thanks a lot for coming on the show, man. Just a great conversation, and it gave everyone a peek to what is coming in the next year or two, and it's happening fast.
It's happening fast, so hold on. It's going to be a fun ride. It's an exciting time to be alive and exciting time to be in e-commerce. It's cool, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks.